The Merrill Report, Growing Up in the City, Family Portraits, is brought to you by and by the Ford Foundation, the Annie E. Casey Foundation, the Pew Charitable Trusts, with additional funding by the Annenberg CPB Projects and the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation.
New York City is one of the largest cities in the world. It's home to 8 million people. It can be difficult to raise a family here. So why would families choose to live in New York City?
You have access to a lot of stuff, theaters, the city's beautiful, the parks and all that, and different people, it's fun.
Push the buzzer, your friend comes down, walk down to the next building, push the buzzer, 3 people come down, and in like 5 minutes you can have like 20 kids in one corner.
If you live over here, you'll have fun. There's lots of stores. You'll be able to find work real quick. And there's lots of schools around here if you have kids.
It's educational every day. I mean, something goes on every day. There's different races in one neighborhood, different religions. It's not like just one religion and one race. Not only in my neighborhood, but in most parts of New York.
A lot of immigrants and stuff come here to visit. They say it was nice, so I think other foreigners and stuff might think it's nice.
I used to take him across the street to Lincoln Center, and we'll do his homework outside together and try different things, that he might enjoy doing.
I'm from the Bronx, great Bronx. Oh yes, no better than the Bronx.
New York itself is a great place to live in. And kids grow up okay. I grew up, all of us did.
But what's it like today to grow up in the city? We spent a year with 5 adolescents, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders from all over New York City. They all go to this school, Middle School 44, on Manhattan's Upper West Side. They had a choice because New York has open enrollment in its middle schools. The families of these 5 adolescents are real New York families. Take family income, for example. It ranges from $17,000 to $45,000 a year. A couple of the families receive some sort of public assistance, but every family has at least one working adult, a store clerk, a chauffeur, a sanitation worker. All the adults finished high school. One has a college degree. The 5 adolescents, ages 11, 12, and 13, are on the brink. And like adolescents everywhere, they're full of energy, fears, generosity, and contradictions. Works in progress.
If the world was like when I was little and he was growing up that fast, I would feel much more comfortable. But the way it is now, it's like so difficult. You have to realize, Sylvia.
They're talking about James Rucker, Sylvia's 12-year-old son, mother and stepfather, trying to find the balance between holding on and letting go.
Exactly. You have to experience it. So he's at that stage now as we can trust him to make his own decisions. I think that's what he wants.
But his decisions may be right, but the next person's decisions out there may not be on his side. That's where I'm looking at. I know that he will make the right decision, but I don't know if the next person that sees him out there at that time, and I'm going to give him that respect for that decision he makes.
Yeah, but
that's what fears me.
James and his half-brother live with their mother, Sylvia, and stepfather, Brett, in the Bronx.
Hi, my name is James. I'm 12 years old. I'm in Ms. Amcout's homeroom, and I'm in 7th grade in Columbus Academy.
Thanks, James. So what's the most interesting thing about you?
I'm athletic. I have a good personality. Everybody say I have a lucky life, a perfect life. Like a lot of my friends, because I go away in the summer and stuff, my family always have family reunions, and all my family's there to help me and stuff. And I think it's true.
So you agree you have a perfect life?
Not perfect, but a good life. Like the mother and their kids in shelters and stuff. Mom! And I will compare myself to that. And luckily, I have a roof over my head. You got the key?
Sounds like you have a family that loves you.
Yeah.
There's a shy quality to him. Is he gonna, seems to me, or maybe I misread him.
James, shy?
Here comes James weighing in at 500 pounds.
Not a bit?
No, I don't think we're talking about the same James. He's more to me like a person who's like the center of attention.
Let me start busting your butts.
But he likes to be good at what he's doing when he does it. If he know he could do a good job at it, he loves the attention. But if he don't think he'll do a good job of it, that's when I think he's more shy.
And my mother, she's fun to be around. I can't breathe.
It hurts?
I can't breathe. And I just love her.
James is a smart, bright.
He's ambitious. And I think that the best way to put it for him, he wants perfection.
Because I want to get higher grades and I want to get a good report card. That way I could get accepted to a good high school.
I've seen James grow up from a little tyke to the teenager that he is now. And during that time, I've seen James achieve a lot. The fact that I'm there to push him, not push him, but as a role model.
Yeah, sometimes I'll call him Dad, and I say he's my father because I love him a lot.
How long has he been your stepdad?
I don't know, I haven't been counting. Just enjoy the days as they pass.
What's your neighborhood like?
I don't know, it's loud. A lot of cars. People stay outside real late. Like if I wake up in the middle of the night and look out the window, there's still people outside. But it's not a bad neighborhood. It's safe though, because they have cops like all around buildings and stuff. Really. And if I go to my own house, the building is secured.
Brad and Sylvia agree about the dangers of their neighborhood. Do you worry when James goes outside here?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
because this is not, you know, as anywhere in New York, anywhere, period, anything can happen. And the fact that this is a more urban area, there's a lot of drugs around here that's being sold. Oh, yes, we worry.
At what age do you start talking to a young child about drugs?
You start talking to him now because he's old enough to know.
So you didn't talk to him when he was
James
6 or
talked to
10?
a long time, like 8 years old. It also goes by the way the child thinks. Because you can tell when your child's getting to that point where he's been in a situation where he's wondering what's going on. So most of the time, a child really tells you, Mommy, what's going on with this? Daddy, what's happening with this? What is this? What does this mean? They will come to you most of the time at the certain age and want to know what is drugs and what is a gun and what is a condom.
Yeah, well, you know, he may have people he know that he said they were smoking some stink cigarettes, which happen to be marijuana. We tell him that's not cigarettes; it's illegal drugs. This is marijuana.
So your way to handle that is just be open and honest.
Oh, definitely.
What's a condom? You tell them what a condom is.
Yes, yes. There's no need in beating around the bush these days. These kids now are very, very intelligent, much more than I was with their age.
They also agree about the importance of education. Every school day, James gets up at 6. His mother walks him to the subway where he begins his 3-train commute to school.
We can't afford to pay for a school for him to, you know, that's close in the neighborhood, like a great school. That's one of the best schools in Manhattan, just free. And so if it's going to take those many trains to get there for him to be good, I'm willing for him to take those many trains.
I mean, do you worry when you get on the subway? Or?
Yeah. I just hope no crazy person comes up to me and does anything crazy.
Are there any kind of tricks for staying out of trouble?
Yeah, be quiet and mind your own business.
Now just tell them to go ahead and mind your business. Always keep your eyes open of people around you at that hour of the morning.
Don't show like I have any electronics, so they'll want that, or to have my pass. I have my pass around my neck. Have that not showing.
Because there are some pretty scrouchy people on the subway at that time.
Like say if I'm sitting down, they sitting down, and everybody's looking at me. I just try my best to ignore them. Like, I'll get off and stop very quickly and just wait for the next train to come.
Watch your back. That's just a phrase that you say that you never know who's in back of you. You know, keep your eyes open always. Because it's like sometimes you have earphones on and stuff.
Yeah.
And if I'm walking down the street and I say, James, one should be on, one should be off. You should always hear what's going on around you.
Is this sort of like lessons of the street?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Definitely.
What else do you need to know to be a kid and survive in a city?
Don't get caught up in the conversation to start an argument, which may and day lead to a fist fight. You're outnumbered 3-4 to 1. You can't beat them all. You may get one.
But he may say, but then I'm being a wimp, a wuss.
Well, be a wimp, be a wuss.
At least you're alive, man.
That's
alive
right.
wuss.
Do you look forward to being older?
Yeah. But my mother said you're a kid and you better be a kid for as long as you want, because when you become an adult, there's a lot of decisions and it's a hard life.
I don't want him to grow up that fast.
Well, he has to
I know kids are growing faster and faster. But see, it's not that I don't want him to grow. And now see, if I see it like this, if the world was like when I was little and he was growing up that fast, I would feel much more comfortable.
When we grew up as teenagers, as James is now, we had our discrepancies, but we used the hands. We fought with our fists. And once that's over, it's over. The next day you turn around with the person you fight. You may be the best of friends. Now these teenagers these days, they have no regard for life. The first thing they want to do is shoot you.
So it's tougher today.
Yes, it is.
Much.
And right now, it's not changing. It's getting worse.
Not a very neat way to grow up.
No, it's sad. Yeah. It's very sad.
What are your hopes for him?
I hope he either be an architect or a cartoonist, because he likes to draw. I tell him, anytime, if you like doing this, do what you like and get paid for it.
Do you have a hero?
Yeah. Basketball player Penny Hardaway. Anthony Hardaway.
Well, see, you always talk about basketball and football. Now, see, my hopes for James is this. I want him to be a basketball player because I love basketball.
Get up. Antoine!
The chances of becoming a professional athlete are minuscule. Only 1 in 10,000 high school athletes ever participates in professional sports. Yet 51% of African American high school athletes believe they will make it in the NBA, the NFL, or Major League Baseball. But that's just one reality James must deal with.
You know, you must learn about making fast money and selling drugs, because a lot of these kids are doing that these days because their parents is not bringing in enough money and they feel they can do more. But that is not a career. So you say, listen, would I rather live like this, looking over my shoulder like this every day, wind up who's going to shoot at me, who's going to try and stick me up for drugs, or I'm going to go to school and learn and get something that I can build on for the years to come, that I know that no one can take away from me, which is knowledge.
See, if he can have 2 skills, he will always have something to rely on.
What do you think you'll be like in 5 years?
I'll be in high school. I'll never drop out or anything. I'll have an after-school job. Have my own allowance where I don't have to get money from my mother. I have my own money, so I know that I always have money. Start saving up and stuff for the future.
Brett and Sylvia have different approaches when it comes to their son's future.
I know that he would make the right decision, but I don't know if the next person that sees him out there at that time and I'm going to give him that respect for that decision he makes.
Yeah, but
that's what fears me.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Like, see, he might be outside for the right purpose, you know, wanting to play and play basketball with his friends. But there may be somebody out there saying, hey, we got 2 young kids out here. They should have been upstairs, and he got some sneakers I want on. See, he might be out there just to have fun, but the next person out there may be saying, hey, he out here to have fun, but to me, he's just a victim.
But I think,
and that's what fears me.
Yeah, well, if something is going to, I think he will have tried to avoid a situation like that, because he knows now, and he always know that people out there value, you know, your clothing. I don't think he would intentionally let something like that happen. If it's going to happen, like you said before, it's going to happen.
Nobody intentionally.
But you have to let him go. You at some point you have to let him go.
That.
He's not your little baby no more. You have to realize
he's going to be my baby.
You know, he has
I try to let go, and I'm giving him more and more space. But I can't give him as much space and as fast as he wanted. It's got to be at my pace, I think. But we can negotiate.
I'll agree with that.
It's got to be at my pace, because I feel like this. I'm the adult still, and you're the child still. And just because you want to do something your way, you're going to still listen to me. You're going to still do it my way, because I have more knowledge of what's going on out there than you do.
She tells me that all the time, really.
I usually tell them, treat people how you want to be treated.
You got to stay in school, get your education, stay out of trouble a lot. Don't always take everything for granted and stuff. Like when you get something like good in your life, or like when you're in a basketball team, take advantage of it. Antoine! Dave!
Growing up in the city, that may make you think of those urban cliches, the teenage mother, the absent father. Those are usually presented as recipes for disaster. It doesn't have to be that way.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My name is Renata Mills, and I'm 11 years old, class 600. And my teacher's name is Mr. Gonzalez, and I'm in 6th grade.
That's perfect.
I have a home everywhere. A home is in my heart, up there, my grandmother and my mom. Everywhere I go is a home. I don't have no place that I can't be. A home is where people love you and where love will surround you.
Renata actually lives in the Bronx with her paternal grandparents, Emily and Errol Andrews. They were born in Belize and emigrated to New York City over 25 years ago.
To me, she's like my daughter.
Yeah, she is. Renata been with us, back and forth, living with us, but from she was born, she was here like every weekend. Vacation, every vacation, we go together. She's been around a lot.
How long have you been living with your grandma?
Oof, I don't know, since I was little, but then I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
You know, what's that like?
It's all right. The only thing that she wants me to do to make her happy is to keep good grades, go to college, and like do my chores or whatever, and she'll be happy.
She wants to be with me, and she wants to be with her mother. But she and her mother couldn't get along.
Renata's mother was 16 when she was born.
That's why I tried to explain to her having kids at a young age. Because Renata and her mother is like sisters in that sense.
Yeah.
And that's why she can't, I don't say she can't, she didn't start off on the right foot. They're having like sisters instead of mother and daughter. Things that she would say to her mother, she would never say to either one of us.
They have a mother-love-hate relation. When she don't see her mother, she wants to see her mother. As soon as she sees her mother, she wants to come back home.
During the year, the Andrews received legal custody of their granddaughter when the family agreed Renata would be better off living with them.
She is so loving.
Chelsea,
She would walk in here, she'd hug you.
Ah, come on, look at that.
So to me, she bugs me sometimes, you know.
Every second of the day, she's going to say, Grandma, I love you. Grandma, I love you. And I respond back to her. If I hit my foot, oh, Grandma, you're all right, you're all right.
She's very loving, very
attentive. She's a loving child.
She has so much love in her, man.
He never cries. Only when somebody here, he cries.
But she got the other side, too.
I think she responds to being insulted, and she responds very harshly to being insulted.
Show your body, show your body.
She responds by fighting. And, of course, adolescence is just the harshest stage of development. I think the other thing is that she just doesn't know how to express herself. She has difficulty expressing herself.
Some of her difficulty may be connected to her family situation. Renata's father has not been home for the past 3 years.
She adores her father. Her father is everything for her. I raised him. I was very strict with him. So I said, what's gonna be is gonna be. He went to Catholic school, St. Elizabeth in Manhattan, and he went to Cardinal Hayes. He's very smart.
Very smart,
okay?
very smart kid.
I did that all by myself.
Very athletic, good.
He went to FIT.
I think we got about almost 100 and something trophies.
We have a whole lot of trophies in there.
Where are those trophies from?
Oh, basketball.
That's a heartbreaking thing, again, for Renata, I think, because...
She just missed her father a lot.
And Christmas was especially tough.
What I used to notice most around holiday times, and those are the times when it gets really tight. And you can see it in her many times. She want to know, how come Daddy don't come home? What's this? And then she go through a different changes. She would get sit down and just get quiet. Ask Grandma, because I don't know why he didn't come. And one time a present was under the tree. That was the only present. Under the tree.
Yeah, waiting for him.
She came and she looked at the present. I said, I don't know why Daddy didn't come and get this present. I said, you got your present? She said, but I don't know why. He said, I don't think he loves me. And that was... that was hard. But I tried to explain it to her.
The family found it hard to talk about why her father was missing.
I told him that I'm not going to tell her because it's he's the parent, he should tell her.
So they didn't want to tell you?
No.
He say he's going to tell her when he thinks the time is right. And I keep telling him, let the child know.
He called me and thought it was my grandmother and said, they departed me to a new place. I'm like, departing? And then I said, you have full time. The lady on the operator said, you have 4 minutes left for this call from the precinct justice. I'm like, oh, and I just hung up the phone. And then he called back. So now and then I knew.
I was down Fordham Road. Renata was home. So I called home. She said, Grandma. I said, yes. He said, I know where Daddy is. I said, oh, yeah. I said, he spoke to you? He said, yes.
Where's your dad?
He's in jail now. Not jail, but it's a correction center.
He said, he told me everything. I said, good. He said, how come you didn't? I said, because it wasn't my duty to do it. Your father should have told you long ago.
When you found out your dad was in prison, were you mad that they hadn't told you?
Of course. Every child wants a mother and father. This, my favorite teddy bear. My father gave that to me.
Didn't you just go visit your pop?
Yep.
How was that?
He's okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
How long has he been in?
I don't know. Because my mother hid it from me for a long time, and my grandmother hid it from me, and she told me that he's away for work, and he's fixing a house up in Virginia. She told me a lot of things.
I told him to tell you. He said that when the time is right, he's going to tell you. I said, so maybe that's the time is right. And she dealt with it pretty good. She dealt with it pretty good. She cried.
Were you shocked when you...
When I first saw him? Yeah.
Why?
To see him in that uniform make me feel like, why is he in there?
He let her know, if you be with the wrong crowd, even if you're not doing anything, you're going to get punished with the crowd you're in. And they talk about that.
He told me that he got caught doing something with his friends, but he didn't. That's all he told me. And no, really, he told me an example, like, it's something what he did that if you throw a rock at somebody's window and you with a bunch of people and the cops come and see you running with those people but you're innocent, they put you in for that because they don't know what you did. So that's what he said that he did.
How long has it been since you've seen him?
I've seen him in Easter.
Renata's father is serving time for a drug-related conspiracy charge. He is due to be released from a federal correctional facility in a few years. Is that tough for her, having you know that her father's in jail?
Actually, she told everyone. One day she just came out and said, you know, I want to write to my father who's in jail. And so she made it known to everyone. I think with our kids, they've been taught to kind of keep family issues to themselves. I think it's also a cultural thing. Families say, you know, you don't bring your stuff out in school. That's not the place. You know, so when a kid expresses themselves that way, you have to wonder, this must be a very serious issue, knowing the cultural boundaries that exist. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of our students have situations like that, whether it's somebody in prison or somebody who's not in the home in some situation. My father was in jail as well when I was growing up. So that's what I meant by he was in and outside my life. He always kept in contact with me, always wrote me letters.
He always write her and tell her when she's doing bad in school, when she's fighting and things like that, he let her know. He said, if I had listened to Grandma, that wouldn't happen. So listen to Grandma, listen to Granddad. He always talked to her about it. Listen.
She has a great grandmother who's involved in her life, but she doesn't have the multiple support levels that I had. So I think with Renata, just a lot of love. That's someone you have to give a lot of love to.
She depends on us so much. We are her post. We are her post. Without us, she'll fall.
Love has many powers. It can bring you to your knees. And that's me there. Can rip your heart like paper. That's my father. Then mend it back with ease. Can draw out tears of sadness and also tears of joy. Can make you smile at someone who's trying to annoy.
Look how he do it. Go. Do it.
Love has a soothing feeling that helps you sleep at night.
I am a cook. There's always people over here.
Can make you close your eyes without one single fright. I love you, Grandma. Yes, it's true.
It is good and it is bad how close we are.
And I want to spend my life with you. Today, tomorrow, and forever, even in very bad weather.
Young adolescents are not yet strong, not yet powerful, approaching adulthood, but not there yet. It's not unusual for them to fantasize about being strong, being powerful, being in charge.
I dream that I took over the world and stuff. I have dreams like them, that I have powers to, you know, to make myself invisible. Once I had one that I caused chaos.
How do I describe Davon? He's very active.
I was ruling the world, and I kind of got beside myself telling people what to do, and I was assassinated.
He's very helpful, and he loves people.
My name's Davon Carter. I'm 13 years old, and I'm in Mr. Morrow's class.
When you had power, what did you do?
What did I do? I don't know. I used to tell people to, like, bake me food and stuff, and they used to say, all right, but then I started saying, now wash my feet and everything, and people started getting mad. And this guy just killed me.
He never told me that dream. Only thing is with him, he's laid back when it comes to his schoolwork. He's intelligent. He's very intelligent, but he's laid back. You have to push him.
Is it a difference? No?
I'm getting a common factor. That's the first step.
Okay.
If you didn't push him, what would he do?
He'll watch wrestling.
He's a big wrestling fan.
Yes, he's a wrestling fan.
I want to get all the pay-per-view events that they got.
Others seeking validation. Some chasing immortality. WWF.
What would you like to be when you grow up?
Wrestler.
Yeah, right to the jaw. Uh-oh, look at the power. Oh, my.
Really?
Yeah. If not that, a football player.
His parents divorced when he was young. Since then, Devon has stayed with his father most weekends. He lives with his mother in low-income housing on Manhattan's Upper West Side.
There was a time he would be afraid to go to the store after a certain time. If it's 6 o'clock, he wouldn't want to go to the store. Or he wouldn't want to ride the elevators by himself.
Do you worry when he goes off to school in the morning?
I worry, but I also pray and leave it in God's hand because I don't want him to see that I fear it, because I don't want him to be fearful of the world.
It's a thin line Chantel has to walk with a child whose internal life is as rich as Devon's. How does she educate him about realities without scaring him too much?
Like the first time he seen someone addicted to crack, I explained to him that they had a habit, and that's why they looked the way they looked.
How old was he then?
He was like 5 or 6. Davon asked a lot of questions, and I said he's smart for his age, so I talked to him a lot.
My mom and I, we talk usually with each other about everything. And, you know, like, if I tell her about the way I feel, she respects my feelings.
I told him, you know, reasons why some people become addicted to drugs. It could be pleasure. Some people have low self-esteem, so they turn to drugs for it. Peer pressure, as with friends. Sometimes it starts out from just smoking a cigarette that leads to a higher addiction.
The lessons about the devastation of drugs get more complicated when someone you love, someone in your family, is on them.
And he also had cousins that was in the drug life, and he's seen what happened to them. So he's been exposed to both sides of it.
What happened to his cousin?
They in jail, and you know, some of them are doing time, so he understands that.
So he's sort of figured out that that's the wrong road to go?
Right, and as a matter of fact, he has a cousin that tries to tell him how to live, what he shouldn't do, and he tells him, well, Davon, you should be doing your homework, you should help your mother out with your chores. So Davon will come to me later on and say, well, how can he speak to me about doing this, and I'm supposed to look up to him, and he does wrong things. He's not working, or he's not going to school. So Davon, he knows, you understand?
I'm waiting for someone. Yeah. See, we're having a little war with Miss Kramer's class.
Oh, you're pretty big now. How tall are you now?
I don't know. Davon is big for his age. See, some people would think he's a teenager. Based on his height, I worry for the fact that some bigger kid might take him as their age, his age, and, you know, start with him. Matter of fact, he mentioned an incident last week about him and his friend was walking, and there's a high school right before you get to the house where one of the boys slapped a bag of potato chips out of his friend's hand. And I asked them how did they handle it. They said, you know, they kept going. And I told them that was the right thing to do. But there's security guards there. Next time, you walk ahead and you let the security guard know.
But he might think to himself, well, I'm being a chicken. A real man would turn around.
I explained that he understands that a real man is still alive as opposed to a dead chicken. I met his friends. They don't seem to be using drugs. Those will be signs if his friends are. When they usually go out, they go to the library, they on the internet. So they doing things that typical kids would do that's not using drugs.
It's all this stuff here on wrestling, on like title histories, and we're asking, do you know who these people are?
Otherwise, you know, he'll be out, hanging out on the streets, want money, and I wouldn't know where the money is going.
So you're looking for signs?
Yeah, I'm all constantly aware. I check Davon books, his room, you know.
Davon, what are you doing after school?
After school, let me see. I just go home with my friend.
I did the wrong math homework.
No, but he did it, but he had to finish up some problems. Now play my video games. Didn't do my homework.
But just because he's shut in does not mean that his vivid imagination shuts off. In most of his dreams, Davon was omnipotent. His reality is far different. What do you worry about?
A lot of things like kidnappers.
Standoff in Brooklyn, where a man has been holding a 12-year-old boy since this afternoon. The man reportedly grabbed the woman's 12-year-old nephew and fled with the boy to the man's nearby apartment.
And rapists.
For raping a 16-year-old neighbor. Londell was on parole for weapons possession. Police say somehow he went upstairs to another apartment and attacked a teenage girl.
Dying.
Tonight, police say a man arrested for shooting at 2 police officers at a housing project last night has confessed to 5 murders.
That's what I worry about.
I see up in the gate, a guy jumped out of the dumpster, shot him once in the back.
New York is a big city with its share of crime. Violence makes the news night after night. To outsiders, these are happening someplace else, just another crime story. But imagine what it might mean to an adolescent who hears of violent crimes occurring in his most sacred spaces, the street he lives on, or the block he walks by every day.
Sometimes, like when I be watching the news and they be saying, oh, so this kid just got killed in Central Park or something.
Chuck, you have teenagers brawling in a park and it almost turned deadly. One teen had his throat slashed. He was also stabbed in the face.
What if I'm walking by there, someone just kidnapped me and kills me? And they dump bodies in the East River all the time on the news. They always find them bodies there. And I live right by the water, so you see people jogging all the time.
Faced with harsh images of reality on a daily basis, it's not surprising that Davon is fearful. Chantel, a recent college graduate, has dreams of her own for her son.
What are my hopes for him? For him to accomplish his dreams, I don't want to put set standards for him. I do hope that he does go to college and become successful in whatever he chooses to do in life. I want him to choose whatever goal he wants in life for himself.
Are you going to go to college?
Yeah.
Why? You're going to be a wrestler. Why bother going to college?
Because, see, I also would want to be a football player, so when I go to college, I'll play football. And most people that play football, they wind up becoming wrestlers.
And he had positive role models. He had an uncle that owns his own business, and he's been exposed to him in the summertime. So, and they talk to each other on the phone. And I thank God for, my family and my father and my uncles. So he knows.
I would like to be a wrestler, but I'm gonna need a backup job just in case I get injured or something. So I'll be working with computers.
Dreams, fantasies, reality, they're all connected. Creating an imaginary world, superhero or professional athlete, that's a way of coping. Parents and other caring adults provide guidance and protection and try to teach children the lessons they've learned growing up in the city. Jacqueline Carrero was 11 and in 6th grade when we met her.
My name is Jacqueline Carrero. I go to,
Jackie lives on Manhattan's Upper West Side with her extended family. Her grandparents, her half-brother and half-sister, and her mother, Jeanette Lopez. She and her mother are close, often discussing serious issues. So if you ask her something that makes her uncomfortable, what does she do?
She scratches her hand and then puts this weird face on.
Like what?
This face that her eyes go up, but her nose don't scrunch up and stuff like that.
Can you do it?
I can't do it.
Jeanette has an important message for her daughter.
Yeah, I was 15 when I had my daughter. So I always mention that.
She says, don't do like I did. I had you when I was very young.
I had to leave Catholic school. They threw me out because I got pregnant.
She don't want me to have a kid when I was that age.
And then when I did go back to school, then I felt guilty. My parents were taking care of all the bills, so then I wanted to start working, so then I started working and going to school, and I couldn't take that either. It was too much.
She didn't finish school.
Is she going to go back, do you think?
Yes. She just finished getting her high school diploma.
I plan to go to college, and I tell them I made a big mistake not doing it. And, I haven't gotten as far as I could have if I would have gone to college. And they know that and they see that.
How do you feel about your mom being so young?
I feel kind of weird because my mom's like the youngest one out of all the parents.
I know that if I went through something that was really difficult, and that I really had to struggle through, that I don't want my children to have to, struggle through that if I can tell them what it's all about. If I can tell them, if you do this, this and this is going to happen. And hopefully they'll listen because, she remembers. She remembers, from when she was 3 years old. My daughter remembers.
Did you ever know your dad?
Only till I was 3.5.
So you really didn't get to know him at all?
Conversations, about, losing a father and so forth.
They're hard.
I mean, how do you bring it up? I mean, does she bring it up?
She brings it up. She'll start out saying, how were my daddy's eyes, or what kind of hair did my daddy have? Because she remembers, but when you have a picture and it's kind of faded, you don't remember everything to detail. And she'll ask me, what kind of hands he have? Did I have hands like him? Did I look like him? Do I act like him? And a lot of things she does. She has a lot of things of her father. Her body is identical to her father's. Her fingers and her feet are identical to her father's. So we talk about stuff like that. I took her to the funeral, and she put little rose on his body at the funeral. And, I spoken to her about it then. He loved you.
What does your mom say about your dad?
She said that he was a nice man and everything.
Whenever the conversation came up, it would always be the same exact answer. He got into, hanging out with the wrong people and got hurt. He got into hanging out with the wrong people and got hurt. And always the same, nothing would change. Always the same answer, the same answer. And so she could understand it.
Jackie's father was shot and killed in 1990.
He was stuck in a world at the time. At the time when this happened, there was a lot of gangs. and the color thing going on, and that's when drugs started to boost up, you know, and all that became like the thing to do back then. He chose the wrong path, and that was his consequence. And that's what you have to think about. You really have to think about what you're going to do and what the consequence is going to be.
Your stepdad,
Mm-hmm.
does he feel like a dad for you?
Yes.
So it's kind of like having a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah Adamo is Jackie's classmate and friend.
I know how it could be an effect talking about my father in front of her, so I don't ever talk about my father in front of her.
So you're sensitive to that.
Yeah.
How do you suppose it makes her feel?
I notice a lot of things and I like put them in my head and I think of what could happen if I say it.
We don't talk that much anymore about how he, you know, he got killed. You know, we went over that, and she doesn't touch that much, and I don't like to touch it much either. You know, she knows it. Ever since it happened, I would take her to church. We would kneel down, you know, I would say a little prayer for your father, you know, and then we would get together, say a little prayer for him. And every year we do it until this day. When it's his death anniversary or his birthday or anything, like Father's Day, we'll say a little prayer for him, you know. And I tell her, even when I'm not here, you want to talk to your father, you can talk to your father, you know. And there's times that she still cries.
Do you wish your...
My father was still alive, yeah.
What are your mom's hopes for you?
And she wants me to finish school and get a good job and start to buy my own clothes.
What clues do you see when you think they understand?
Just their eyes, the emotions I see them going through, you know. It's like they know that it's been hard for me. You know, I can see that they even feel the pain that I might feel sometimes and stuff like that. I can tell, you know, they really like, yeah, you're right, you know, I'm not gonna do this.
I don't have any time for a boyfriend anymore because I usually have schoolwork, or my sister, my brother.
Actually, Jackie's been really good at using the resources, and I'm proud of her in that.
Jackie always does well. She does very well. She's the bookworm, you know, I call her, because she's always reading.
She comes in early in the morning, uses the computers, wants to stay after school, wants to stay during lunch. So she's really involved in the resource, and I think that the mom also plays a large part in that, and pushing her and helping her prioritize that school is important.
She sometimes gets to school an hour before school starts.
Yeah.
Where did she get that?
Jeanette's message to her daughter seems to be, please don't do what your father did, don't do what I did, do what I'm doing now. And Jeanette spends as much time as she can with her daughter. After all, the more time a parent spends with a child, the less time there is for negative influences. And every parent worries about that. Peers, the street. Parents work hard to be role models and provide guidance. But while you can point, you can direct, you can lead, you cannot steer.
I'd take him all over the neighborhood. When he was small, I used to show him. I said, you see that? That's a drug spot. That's a number spot. Those guys over there, I know that guy. He used to be cool, but look at him now. You know, he's sick, he's on drugs, and I don't want you doing that. And he says, oh, okay, you know, all right, Dad, I'm not going to do it, but eventually, you know, peer pressure, whatever, may change that, and I hope not.
Wilson Santiago is talking about his son, Paul.
My name is Paul Santiago. I'm 12 years old, and I'm in Mr. Marr's class in the 8th grade.
Paul lives on Manhattan's Upper West Side with his mother and father. His mother preferred not to be interviewed.
I've been talking to Paul about drugs since he was a little guy. Once he was playing in the street, he came, the fire hydrant was open, and he came over and he had all these little things in his hand. He was filling them up with water. And when I look, it was little crack bottles. And he was putting water and putting the tops back on them. And he didn't know. They're colorful bottles, you know, different colors, because, of course, you know, certain gangs have different colors to what the product they sell. So there was all these different colors, and he's filling them up with water. And I'm looking at it, and I said, what are you doing? When I realized it, then from that age on, and he was just like 3 years old, I started telling him, no, this is bad, this is drugs. He didn't know, but he knew it was bad to pick it up. And there was so much of it around.
He always brought me up to talk to him about anything. When I was small, he used to talk to me about sex. He laid down drugs, all of this. He wasn't scared to tell me about these things.
I explained all those different drugs to him. And, you know, I told him habits are easy to start, but they're very hard to stop. You know, so I hope that caught on. We've been hanging out together since he was born. He goes just about everywhere with me.
We're family, of course, and we're always father and son. You know, there's certain lines you don't cross that you would cross with your friends. You don't cross with your parents. But I consider him more of a friend, you know.
That sort of made him a little more older than the other kids. So there was that little problem there that he couldn't hang out with kids more or less his age because to him they weren't mature enough.
It's kind of like old wise man of the community, you know. I can't say that because he's going to get mad at me. Why you call me old and all that? But he's been on the block since he was a little kid. He grew up there, and he still hangs out.
Maybe you just get a little ramp put there, Joe. Yeah, I'm on to do it. Look, visit Ali yet, the guys?
Nah.
Yo. He has his own friends, so he hangs out. So I have more time for myself. But at first, people used to say, "Where's Paul? Where's Paul?" Because we're that attached. And I think it's good.
Wilson and Paul are close, but there's no way a father can know everything his son is up to.
I used to hang out with a bad crowd, and they used to go in and not pay for anything and come out with like 6 sodas. But lately, I've not been hanging around with that crowd.
What changed your direction?
Getting chased too many times. I got tired of running.
You were with the guys who were ripping off stores.
Yeah. And if you're with them, then you're one of them. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. If you're with them, then you're one of them.
Adolescents are likely to make choices based on their immediate needs, their personal safety, or the security of their belongings.
I have beef with some kids, so I can't hang out no more, or else it's tough. You know, you gotta watch your back all the time, gotta go straight home. Your hairs are always up, you know? On your back, you always got goosebumps. Because nowadays it's not like it used to be. You can't fight a guy one-on-one. They all come out, about 6 of them, 7 of them.
Were you ever jumped in the past?
Twice.
What happened?
One time, I caught it pretty bad by a few kids. They used weapons, cowards, and I caught it pretty bad. And the other time, it wasn't really. They tried to take my bike, and I managed to get away.
And what hurt him more was that the guy who tried to steal his bike, he actually knew him from the playground when they were growing up. I don't think the kid knew him. Maybe the kid was on drugs at this stage or whatever. And he didn't give up his bike. You know, he ran into a store with the bike. He asked the guy in the store, can he borrow the phone? He called the cops. The kid swang at him and all. And he was really upset about that, and he wanted to get even. And I was upset that he got hit.
Paul has been studying martial arts for a long time.
He was in it when he was 5 years old. He went for about a year. Then when he competed for belts, he was kind of young, so it didn't work out. And then finally now he's been working out with a friend for the last 3 years. So he's seriously into it now.
We saw you with sticks. What was that?
That was Kali. That was Filipino. It's a lot of movement and weapons. Back in the Philippines, they would teach them weapons from the beginning along with hands. So they could send them out into the jungle after like a year or something, and they could be battle, you know. And then when the Spaniards came, they banned all edged weapons, so they had to practice with sticks, and that's where what we learn with now, sticks.
Does martial arts have anything to do with him protecting himself, or?
Well, you know, Paul's always been, you know, a serious type of guy, you know, but since he's been in the martial arts, he's gotten a lot of confidence. Not that he wants to go out there and kung fu somebody to death or whatever, but I think that he feels that if he has a situation out there, he'll be able to handle himself.
That's what they teach us, take him out quick so that it's over with, you know? He's not coming at you no more once he's knocked out. It's that simple.
Young people may have to create a tough persona just to help them survive in the city. But that process, and who they emulate, concerns parents.
I feel that I want to be involved with my son's life. I don't want him wandering somewhere and something happening to him. Not that I'm sure he probably goes places with his friends, but he's got a smart head on his shoulders.
Can you talk to your dad about anything?
Almost anything.
What can you not talk to your dad about?
Illegal manners.
Like
if I wanted to go and, like, say someone jumped me, I would want to go and get Ralph and them and go and jump them. And my father would rather go to the police, or he would rather, you know, want to handle it with the guys and not me there. But I want to be there, you know, I want to get my licks in too. He's not the one that got hurt, I got hurt.
I understand why he wants to get even, because he got beat up and all that. I guess it would happen to you and me at that moment. Some people would go to the law. Kids in the street tend to, they got to protect themselves and show that they're not weak or whatever. I would be very upset. I would be worried, because if he goes out and he tries to get these guys back, then these guys may turn around and come back and try to get him.
Would you go down and stop him and say, don't do that?
I would tell him, no, I don't want you going after these guys. What we'll do is we'll drive around. If you spot the guy, we'll get the cops, have him arrested, and have charges.
Wilson understands that his son wants to establish his independence and not show any weakness in front of his peers, but he still worries.
Drugs it's my fear, and not finishing his education, because as he gets older and he gets involved with working and all that, he may not have time to go back to school, and he'll regret it then. So now's the time to do it. So those are two of my fears. Drugs and education. I want him to get a good education and stay away from drugs.
Not many people in the block go to college. You know, most of them, right out of high school, they go in to get a job, you know? That's the way most of it works around there.
What about you? What are you going to do after high school?
College or a job. I'm not sure. I have the option. They don't.
You put the life of your kid, all the years you put into him, trying to guide him the right way, and all you need is one person that he looks up to, a friend, that puts the pressure on him to try something, and from there, God knows what happens.
Anything about New York City that frightens you?
New York City? The way that all these kids want to be gangbangers. They want to be big bag and tough. They want to live a gangster style. And they see a kid that's out there doing his thing. They want to rob him. They want to be gangsters, you know. Want to slash people, all this gang stuff. Why? Quit all that, you know. Quit all that. For what is this? Be a family, you know. For what are you going to go and try to kill somebody else? It's stupid.
Every parent with more than one child knows how different children are. Each is unique. Yet the basic needs of children and adolescents are universal: love, security, and opportunity. That's true in the suburbs, the country, and the city.
Got nice ears, right?
The 5 adolescents you've just met are typical New York kids. They're the 99% who never make the nightly news. Each is cared for and guided by adults who love them, adults who are doing their best. New York's a wonderful city, but it can be harsh and unrelenting. Anything from random violence to a bad decision could derail these young people. We brought you these brief glimpses into the lives of James, Renata, Devon, Jackie, and Paul in the hopes that we, as individuals, as families, as communities, and as a society, can do a better job of meeting their needs. After all, let's not forget that these young adolescents, like adolescents everywhere, are works in progress.
To find out more about this program, visit us at PBS Online at the internet address on your screen.
I heard that you want to go with Vanessa. No, I don't want to go with Vanessa. Vanessa wants to go with me.
You just had something to eat. You just ate ice cream.
Ice creams and sunflower seeds, and that's it.
Test. Here. Test. You hear that? Pretty cool, huh?
production of Learning Matters Incorporated and presented by South Carolina ETV.